All right. Welcome back. Buenos días, Vicente. How we doing? How's everyone doing? Welcome to the live stream back in Naples, Florida. Shout out Naples. Shout out the West Coast. Vinny Gabagool. Something about the West Coast, man. It's I do enjoy it. So I've been coming back a little bit more often. I don't know, we'll see. I have some big plans over here on the West Coast, so might be back more often. Looking to potentially buy some land over here, so yeah, might this office might be upgraded as well, so it should be we'll see what happens. But I'm enjoying the ability to come back and see the family. You know, as always, guys. Little reminder here on Monday morning. Say hi to your parents if they're still around. Very important. Enjoy your family while you can. Very important. You know, you won't have that liberty your whole life, right? So while you have them, enjoy it. Welcome back, guys. Press that like button if you could as you're stepping in. Press that like button. Subscribe to the channel. As always, help us continue to grow the live streams here. Help us continue to break through the resistance, the subscriber resistance levels. We got to keep moving higher. So, with your help, that is possible. I'd appreciate that as always. All right. So, press that like button, subscribe. Interesting week coming up, definitely. We had some really nice moves last week, right? Some really nice moves last week. Some really nice downside action, finally. A little bit of action for us yesterday, or last week. So very nice. The rejections at 4,400 on the ES were awesome last week on Friday. That was as clean as it could possibly be. We talked about that 4,400 supply. We talked about how we could look for a little bit of a bounce into that 4,400. And that is pretty much exactly what we got on Friday. We got a bounce, slow bounce into 4,400, slow bounce into 15,020 on the NASDAQ. And they were beautiful rejection plays midday. So I caught that rejection very nicely, which turned me green on the day, which I was very happy about on Friday. But I did get a little bit too aggressive, a little bit too early on that bounce. So I did, I was in some drawdown on a few plays there. But that 4,400 rejection came in really nice. Congrats to you guys that caught that. That was a sick Friday afternoon trade. So well done to that. We're still below that level. And in my eyes, as long as you're below 4,400 on the ES and as long as you're below 15,020 on the NASDAQ, there should be no reason that you try to be the hero and catch a falling knife. It's not there, right? That is not there. That idea should not be in your head. There might be some demand bounces here and there this week after some aggressive downside. But if you continue to try to catch the lows, trying to get bounces, and you're not using structured levels to trade off of, it's just like throwing a dart at the wall hoping something sticks. I don't recommend that, especially in the strong trend that you've seen last week, and we'll have to see how it looks this week as well. So we got some key levels to be looking at, that's for sure, on the ES and NASDAQ, some very key levels. Let's go ahead and jump. Let's just go ahead and jump right into it, guys. So press that like button, subscribe. I'm going to pull up the schedule. That's our schedule for the week. I know you guys are here for the schedule. Let me pull up the economic calendar here. So economic calendar is what we're going to pull up right now. Take a look at that, and then we'll move on. Really no earnings this week. We do have a little bit of a We do have a little bit of a catalyst this morning on Netflix. That's like the only really thing I see. Netflix, that whole the whole strike, the Hollywood strike, all that nonsense that's going on. I think it had some type of a relief. So that's why Netflix is slightly higher this morning. Do I think Netflix can move against the market? I wouldn't be part of that, right? Personally, I'm not going to long Netflix because of that catalyst while the market's moving lower. I'm not getting involved in that type of trade. But that is something to be watching today. If you do get upside on the market, that Netflix catalyst is interesting. So, economic calendar, really nothing scheduled today, right? Yeah, they're still on strike, but some kind of resolution to it. I'm not that interested in it, to be honest. I don't really chase that type of trade. You guys know that. I don't just chase, Netflix has news today, I'm going to look to long Netflix. It's not really my thing. So, yeah, I'm going to stay away from that, but yeah. Monday today, nothing scheduled. New home sales tomorrow, home price index tomorrow, consumer confidence tomorrow. Really a pretty light week on the economic besides maybe Thursday and Friday. Thursday you got GDP, and then Friday you got the personal spending, PCE, and all this sort of nothing major important, but some things to be watching. Personal spending, personal income, PCE on Friday. But today, nothing scheduled. So that's nice to see. We got no economic data to be worried about today. I probably meant 173.50 on Apple. So sorry about that. Tesla 240, big time today. Big time 240 on Tesla. This is a major 4-hour low. So big watch here on Tesla today. I like Tesla as a watch today. Some key levels stepping in. Nvidia 420 rejection still look fantastic. Something to be watching. AMD is still dead. AMD has continued to be dead. It's pretty much lifeless, and I'm just holding puts, and I really don't care what happens at this point. We've scaled out of 95% of our puts on AMD for those who took that trade with me, and we're just milking it at this point. So AMD still looks weak. Definitely still watching that one. Google 132.50. Apple 173.50. I know it says 137. A little bit of dyslexia there this morning. So Apple 173.50 there. That's a big level to be watching for not only Apple, but for the market. Meta back under 300. And then we'll take a look at Netflix with that news that sort of happened this morning. So let's do it. I put up the NASDAQ and the time frame on the top right for everyone that was complaining the last time I was in Naples. It's there now. So there you go. NASDAQ, 1 hour. You guys can see that on the top right. Let's jump right into the levels on the NASDAQ. So there's really one level that I'm watching today. There's really only one level. And this one level will decide my day, right? This one level will decide what I do today. And it is 14.8. 14,800 on the NASDAQ futures is this previous low back here on August the 18th. This is the extreme low, right? And you are coming right back into it. Right, you are right there today, this morning in the pre-market, 14.8. That is going to decide our day, right? If you break below that level, if you start to get weak under that level, we are going to be able to catch downside action towards 14.6. If you maintain that level and you just bounce here today, right? You just sort of consolidate, you hold, you bounce, right? You start to do a little dance, right? At that level, you're probably not going to see that downside. And you're going to have to be cautious of potential relief bounces, right? At that 14.8 level. That is pretty much the one and only level that I think you need to watch today. Even though, of course, I'm going to show you the ES, the QQQ, the SPY, other levels to be watching as well. But that is 100% a major level here. If we zoom out on the 1 hour, you guys can see under that 14,800 on the NASDAQ on the 1 hour chart, there is no support until this double bottom low at 14.6, right? Well, I'm looking at what you guys see. That's why I always look over to the left here. So yeah, I think you can see that pretty well, right? 14.8, 14.6. Yes, still contract change. Make sure you always have adjust for contract change on the NASDAQ and ES futures right there. Adjust for contract change. Make sure that's on. So that's big, right? You can clearly see this on the hourly. I'm going to go to the 4-hour chart to make this a little bit more detailed. Or I guess it's more of a structured look further out. You can see, look at this 4-hour chart. The 4-hour low is right here at 14.8, right? Under that, double bottom at 14.6. There is no support between 14.8 and 14.6. There's nothing there, right? This is simply just straight up and straight down. Look at the action that happened on the 4-hour in this 14.6 to 14.8 area. It's just straight down, straight up, straight down, straight up. So, if you break that 14.8 today, and you get some rejections at that 14.8, and you turn this low into a new rejection point at 14.8, I would 100% be looking for a downside setup, right? And whether that works or not, that's okay, right? That's just playing off that structured trade idea. So if I see something like this today, if I see the NASDAQ slip this 14.8, if I start to see NQ do a little maybe bear flag here at 14.8, and I start to see weakness stepping in, right? I am going to 100% look for that fade under 14.8 down to 14.6. That is definitely a watch for me today. Now, you can't get aggressive on the shorts this morning if you are above 14.8, right? This is where people get stuck. They get short before 14.8. You get a little bit of a downside in the morning, and then this thing rips higher, right? And it bounces off 14.8, and you get stuck in shorts. You hold the shorts because it happens so quickly. You don't know how to react, right? You don't need to put yourself in that situation. Don't put yourself in the situation to be short if the NQ is above 14.8 today, right? This is a situation I put myself a little bit in on Friday. That I wasn't too fond of. I was short above that 14.920, right? And I started to get some demand bounces there. So, definitely something to be watching today. 14.8. Be careful of that demand today. If we break it, break and retest to the downside. If we hold it, I could definitely just see this market, sort of trade within this channel, right? This is your upside supply at 15,020, 15,020. This is where we rejected on Friday. So a pretty clear sort of NASDAQ setup this morning. You have very clear supply above at 15.2, right? That's that Friday high. That's that Thursday high. Nice little double top there. Easy fade play, right? On Friday. That was very clean. And 14.8. Now if I zoom in even further, right? I'll go one step lower here so we can get a little bit more detail. What else are we seeing happen this morning, right? What else are you seeing happen in the short-term price action? What is this right here, guys? Right? What is this? This is something that you should all be very aware of. What is this right here? This is a break and retest of previous day lows, right? Look how clear that is. So at the very least, right, if you're thinking about longing this 14.8 level today, if you want to try to catch a long today off this 14.8, at the very least, you need to at least wait for the NASDAQ to get over previous day lows, right? At the very least, wait for NASDAQ to at least get over previous day lows, right? Why long if we are turning previous day lows into rejections? Logically, think about it, right? Why long the market after very aggressive downside, after overall weakness? Why be the first one to long if we are still under previous day lows? Okay? There's absolutely no reason to try to be the hero that catches an extra 50 points on the NASDAQ long. Why not just wait for us to get back above previous day lows? And if we do, then at least you have some structure to your trade, right? Then you could look for the long above 14,870, look for those previous day lows to turn into support, and then you can look for that bounce, right? At least wait for that if you're going to look long here on the market today. So, very clear levels, very structured in my opinion here on the NASDAQ. The price action has been pretty nice and the structure has been there, right? We can very much see the 14,800, the 14,870, and then the 15,020 above, all right? So that's NASDAQ futures. That's pretty clear in my eyes today. QQQ. So I'm going to sort of set this up similar to the QQQ. I'm going to set it up the same. It's not as clean. right? The QQQ, in my opinion, is never as clean. The NASDAQ future really provides me that really good insight usually. So I'm a little bit cautious watching the Qs here today, but there is some similarities. So first of all, if I go out to the 4 hour, right, that extreme low that we were talking about, that 14.8 on the QQQ is right here, right? On the QQQ, that extreme low, I'm going to zoom in on the 4 hour chart. You guys can see right here. That extreme low, that 14.8 level, is 355 on the QQQ. Right here. Excuse me. So, 355, right? That's your extreme low on the QQQ. That's that 4 hour, that's that August 18th low. That's right there, 355. So, you can see that lines up on the NASDAQ and the QQQ. NASDAQ, extreme low, 14,800 right here. You see right there, 14.8 on August 18th. On the QQQ, that level is 355, right? So that's really the demand that I would be cautious of on the QQQ, is 355, all right? That's that August 18th low. So now let me zoom in a little bit closer, and let's look at some short-term levels and how they're sort of setting up this morning. So here's the 5-minute chart on the Qs, and I think this is pretty clear, all right? You can see on Friday, we rejected the 100 SMA, and we rejected that 361.50. That was the exact level that rejected on Thursday, right? As clear as day, double top from the Qs, double top from Thursday into Friday. You also had the 100 SMA there, a very clean rejection play. Now, this was my demand at 358 on Friday, right? And you can see it did hold. However, what is the QQQ doing this morning that I think is very clear here, right? Look at this. You have previous lows, and look at what the QQQ is doing this morning. It is turning the previous Friday lows into rejections, right? Break, retest, rejections of 358 on the QQQ. That is going to be the level that you watch for either supply rejections to come in, or if this wants to rehold, right, regain that previous low, that's possibly where you see some upside off of today. So in my eyes, it's 358 to 355, right? You can see right here, I'm just going to put this at 355. I'm going to put this above it just so I'm aware of as we approach that level. 355 to 358. Okay, just making sure you guys can see those levels. That is what I would be watching in the QQQ today. Very clear. Look how clear that is. Do not long into 358. Do not short into 355. If you get channel breaks, then you can look for that continuation, right? If you get channel breaks, you look for the continuation longs, continuation shorts, or you play the channel, right? You play the channel, or you play the continuation. That's really the plays that I love to look for. So, 358 supply, 355 demand on the Qs. That's what I would be watching. All right, very clear there on the QQQ. ES futures. All right, so this is where things just don't quite line up for me on the ES, which is quite annoying, and I'm not sure why this is the case. But if I go to the daily chart here on the ES futures, right, and I look at this daily chart, on the ES futures daily chart, you are approaching a very, very major daily chart level on the ES, right? You can see back here from February to around, early February to around mid-February on the ES futures, you are approaching a previous high, right? You can see right here, around this 43.25, right? This 43.25 to 43.45, you have some major daily chart highs. And this is really where the market started to slip from this extreme high, right? You got this extreme high in January, February. You got that downside come in into March. Then we recovered on the ES, right? A little bit of recovery there. Now you are pulling back into that previous high. So this is a little bit concerning to me, right? This gives me a little bit of question in my mind. There's a little bit of question in my mind here about whether I want to continue to look short on this market into these highs here. That's a tough one, right? That's a tough one for the ES. This 43.25, 43.45. You also have this 200 SMA. If you guys see this red line, that's the 200 SMA. And so there could be definitely some reason for some demand to step in around this 200 SMA and around these previous highs on the ES, around this 43.25, 43.45 area. That's a tough one, right? That's a tough one. As of right now, I'm just going to follow the market trend, right? I'm not going to try to make any, I'm not going to try to be the hero that longs it off that level and sees that next upside move. The market trend is still very bearish. So I'm going to trust that trend. I'm going to look for those downside setups where I can. But I am a tad bit cautious, right? I am a tad bit cautious as we approach this green zone here and as we approach this 200 SMA below, right? This is starting to feel, in my opinion, like a chase short, right? This is starting to feel like, hey, if you didn't catch the shorts last week, maybe you think twice before trying to continuously slam the downside here, right? If you didn't catch Wednesday downside, if you didn't catch Thursday downside, if you didn't catch Friday downside, and you continue to stick out here and try to catch downside, it's starting to, in my opinion personally, it's starting to get a little bit questionable in this zone down here. Anywhere between that 200 SMA around 4,300 and around that 43.45. So this area is going to be questionable for me on the ES. I'm not sure how well that's going to hold, of course, right? That daily chart zone. If we go back to the daily chart, you can see there are the major highs come in around this 43.25, right? The major highs, if I go back, I'll actually go back to the 4 hour for you here. So if I zoom in on the 4 hour, this is the highs that I'm talking about, right? Right here. So you have highs around 43.25, 43.25, and 43.25, all right here. It's a little triple top back from February. And if I move over, right, you can see a little high here, 43.25. You can see some highs here, 43.25. And then once you broke above it, right here, this is in June. Once you broke above it, that's where this market started to hold up. So if I go back, if I keep going over to the 4 hour, look at where we're trading. We are right in that zone. So very interesting, right? Very interesting. In my eyes, here's how you think about this. Here's how you keep a structured sort of mindset here. If the ES is below 4,400, you're not longing this market. It just doesn't make sense, right? So yeah, this might be an area where the ES holds up. Sure, that might be a possible area that the ES can hold up. However, there is no merit, there is no reason to be longing here if you are still below the 4,400 supply that rejected as clean as a whistle on Friday, right? There's no reason. There's no reason to be like, oh, hey, look, I'm going to long here. And then you're going to say, oh, why is the market not holding up when it slips through this level? Well, it's because you're just longing at untested levels that we don't know if they're going to work yet, right? As demand. We're not sure if this demand is going to hold yet. And as of right now, price action would say it's not, right? We can see look how aggressive this downside has been. So we're not going to just try to go out there and long this level. We can be aware of it, right? We'll take it into consideration as we trade. We're like, hey, let me be a little careful in the shorts here. There is an important level back from February. Maybe I don't get too aggressive on the longs here, but that doesn't mean, hey, I'm going to look to long this when everyone's looking short. I'm going to be the hero in the market, and I'm going to long off this demand. There's no reason to long if you are below 4,400. If you get back above 4,400, then I think there's reason, right? Because you're back above this low, you're back above Friday's highs, and you're turning that back into support. That is still a juicy long opportunity that you can make plenty of money off, right? Above 4,400. So that's the way I'm looking at it, right? You don't have to take my advice. That's just my thought process coming into today. That's what I do when I share it. That's why I come here and share it. Typically it works. I'm not gonna lie, but of course there's gonna be some days where I'm wrong. But 4,400, I'm not looking to long a single thing on this market if the ES is below that level, and I'm just gonna be cautious as we approach this 200 SMA and this 43.25 demand zone. All right. Same concepts here on the SPY, right? Look at the SPY. I'm going to go ahead and delete this real quick. Look at the SPY and look at 434. All right, same concepts. You can see right here, 434 lows on the SPY. Look at them rejecting on Friday. So that concept remains the same for me, right? I'm not going to long anything here if the SPY is below 434. There's just no reason. This is a previous low that turned into a very clear rejection on Friday. That is a very clear reason to continue to look for downside. So I'm not longing anything if we're below 434 on the SPY. That's the first important thing to be watching. All right. Now, if we go to the daily chart on the SPY, actually, you know what? I want to go to 4 hour. If we go to the 4 hour on the SPY, the zone that I'm sort of watching here, I'm going to clean this up a little bit because there's really only a few important zones here. The zone that I'm watching here on the SPY, if we go to the 4 hour, you guys can see that right there. It's this high and this low. So if I zoom over to the 4 hour here, this is back in May and June. Here's May and June right here. This is June 5th and this is June 9th. This area right here. The highs of these candles are around 429.60. Let's just call it 430. Right? The high of these candles are around that 430 level. It's 429.60 right here. Double top, really triple top high at 429.60. Now, the lows of these candles, I'm actually going to turn that red because we are trading below that. So let me make sure I know that that is red. We can see right here, double, triple top high. 1, 2, 3. 3 rejections right there at 429.60 on the spot. The lows come in around 426. 426, 426, right? That's your channel that you traded within for a few days here on the SPY back in June. Now, if we go over, let's just go right over. We'll keep those levels, right? We're keeping those levels on our screen. We're keeping them static where they are. Look at that, right? Look at where we are. So, today, if we're below that 429.60, right? If we're below, let me go back over just so it makes logical sense here. If we're below this triple top on the SPY, then I'm not looking to play long here, right? If we're below that triple top, if I go down to the short-term time frames, let me go down to the 5-day, 15-minute. So you can see right there, we have broken below that 429.60 area. So that's sort of important to me, right? I'm sort of watching how we react to that area at 429.60. And then the next demand is really down at 426, right? Right there. 426 is your next channel low demand. So I'm going to monitor how this sort of channel works out, right? But I'm going to go to the 5-minute now, and I'm going to give you that sort of short-term analysis. If we put another line here, what is the SPY doing that all the rest of the futures and the QQQ did here as well, right? What is it doing? It is rejecting previous day lows, right? And so, in the grand scheme of things, if we are still below previous day lows on everything, you are not looking long. I would still be looking for downside on this market, right? So, SPY, ES, under previous day lows, right? Rejecting previous day lows. NASDAQ, rejecting previous day lows as well. All right, you can see right here. Look at that little double bottom at 14.8. See, this is going to reiterate to me, guys, what I'm going to be watching more than anything today. It's 14.8. It's the NASDAQ futures. It's the clearest one to be watching, in my opinion. Once in a while, you'll get some sloppy action on a few, when I go through these levels with you guys, ES, NASDAQ, QQQ, SPY, there's always one or two that I don't quite like, right? I'm not really getting a good feel on it. It's just like an inherent feeling after you trade for a while, I guess. The QQQ, I have a great feel, right? I know exactly how to trade this QQQ. I know 14.8 is there. I can clear as day see 14.870, right? This is very clear. This is very clean price action on the QQQ. So you can see, I'm sorry, on the NASDAQ futures. You guys can see it right there. 14.8, look at that bounce. That's your level. I'm going to reiterate that again. 14.8 is your level to be watching there. ES, it's right at that 43.45 that we talked about. You can see right there, 43.45 on the ES. Yeah, I think it's pretty clear. Hopefully that helps you guys a little bit. NASDAQ futures, I'm going to say it again. I think that's the one you watch today. I think it's providing the cleanest sort of setup here. You watch that 14.8. You keep an eye whether that rejects or whether that holds. That's what I'd be watching. The only short entries I'd look for today is whether you reject here or you reject here, right? These are the only short entries. You short at that supply high potentially, or you look for the break and hold below 14.8, right? Those are really the two short entries that I'd be watching. If you get above, right? If you get above, let's say you bounce above this 14.870, then you probably could see a little bit of relief on this market. I think that's very possible, right? So, clear levels, that's what I'd be watching. Let's continue. Whoa, Tesla's at 240 already? Holy shit. Oh, I didn't expect it to be at 240 already. I saw it at 242 this morning, but wow, okay. All right, Tesla's right at 240. We got that one, we got 100 SMA below. All right, so let's get into some stonks here, my friends. 240, man. This is big. This is big for Tesla. I'm going to go back to, we're going to go back to around, there's two areas where that 240 is key. It's right here, number one. You guys can see here. This is back in June. You can see that 240 bounce right here, 240 bounce that caused upside. And if I go over, this is back in August. Look at this 240 break and retest in August, right? We held it. We broke 240. You rejected 240. Look at that. Oh, yeah, we'll go to the Dow and the Russell. I'll go Dow Russell 1 second. 240, break and retest, 240, 240 rejections, 240 support, and look at where you are right now. 240 on Tesla. You also have the 100 SMA approaching here on Tesla as well. So, this is going to be a very interesting level. If you haven't been holding Tesla shorts, right, then be careful diving into them today. There's been some very clear reasons to be holding shorts on Tesla. You guys know we shorted the 261 supply, which was absolutely gorgeous. There was every reason in the world to look short at 260, right? We talked about that break and retest rejection of the previous lows at 260. Absolutely beautiful setup. I know a lot of you guys caught this on Friday. Well done. Really nice trade there. 240, 242 zone. Be cautious on the shorts here. And if you do break 240, right, here's where you have to be very cautious today. And this is something you need to know if you're even going to get yourself involved in the Tesla. If you're going to jump into the battlefield with Tesla, you need to understand these things. Tesla can absolutely today break 240, wick under 240, right? Tap that 100 SMA and rip higher, right? That is absolutely something that Tesla can do. And you need to understand that. You need to know Tesla's characteristics if you are going to trade Tesla, right? If you don't know the characteristics of trading Tesla, that is when you start to get slammed trading it. Tesla can very easily drop under 240, trap shorts in, hold that 100 SMA, and rip higher today, right? I would not be surprised to see that, right? The day before Tesla holds up, whatever day that is, the day that Tesla holds up, I don't know when it comes in, but it's going to really trap shorts in very aggressively, and it's going to rip, right? No, I don't suggest the call. All right, guys? Let's not stop thinking like that, okay? That's not why I'm here. I'm not telling you to buy calls. I don't know if this is going to happen today. I don't know if it's going to happen next week. I don't know when it's going to happen. But there is going to be a time where Tesla fakes a lot of shorts out and rips. It's just the way that it's going to happen. I don't know when that's going to happen, right? I'm not trying to guess the future, but that's something I would be cautious of when you try to continue to trade Tesla downside after it's already dropped so much. Just be cautious of that possibility. Make sure to be a profit taker as you get moves in your favor. So today, it's very clear. You have to watch 240 demand, but you also need to be careful of the 100 SMA, okay? If you see some rejections at 240, you might be able to play it, but you need to be cautious of the 100 SMA below at 239, 238. That is it's a little bit dangerous, right? It's a little bit dangerous. It's a little bit dangerous over here. You can see right there, that green line, right? That is a little bit dangerous there. So just be cautious on shorting into this green line after Tesla has dropped so much already, right? That's my only concern for you today. Just a little forewarning, that's all it is. And, I would just watch some of these, I would just be watching some of these previous lows, pre-market highs, as potential supply rejections. So you can see here, right, we got a little level here at 245 up to around this previous low around 245.70, right? You can keep an eye on this little zone here as a little potential supply level. Turn this red for us. Right there. So if we get a little bounce off 240 today, right, I would be watching this little pre-market high here. You can see little rejections there this morning. This is also Friday lows, right? So I'd be watching that 245 zone. That's a zone to be watching. I'm always the guy that wants the bounce and then the fade, right? The bounce and the fade. That's what I like. I like the bounce, I like the fade. I don't like shorting at lows. So today, as of right now, you'd be shorting Tesla at lows, right into 240 demand. It's not a good idea, right? And we can see right now, the demand is starting to step up potentially at that 240. All right, so 240, 100 SMA on Tesla. Be careful chasing downside. That's the 100 SMA. All right, NVIDIA. 420, man. You guys know 420. We've been talking about 420, and we can still see 420 is rejecting, right? Look at these rejections that continue to step in at 420 on NVIDIA. So if NVIDIA breaks over 420, I am going to look long on NVIDIA, right? Because I know there's going to be a lot of shorts that are sort of trapped in here, right? And I know NVIDIA, it's still NVIDIA. It still has that upside rip potential. And if you get above it, right, if you see something like this on NVIDIA and you get any type of relief on this market, I am very interested in this potential. This could be a little inverse head and shoulder formation. I'm not saying that's happening yet, right? I'm not going to be, right? And I think this is where people, they start to misconstrue things. If I say I'm going to look for a 420 break and hold, and I say I'm going to look for upside, right? The translation that comes through their computer screen is long NVIDIA, I'm so bullish, and I will buy every call that's out there. And then, that's literally the furthest from the truth, right? You need to understand how you play these off levels, right? If I say NVIDIA above 420 for potential longs, that doesn't mean I'm longing NVIDIA at open into 420 supply, right? That's a totally different trade setup. That means that's nowhere near the same, all right? So if NVIDIA gets over 420, then I'm going to look for that hold. Now, until that happens, I will look for supply rejections at 420 on any bounce to the upside, okay? Any bounce to the upside, I'll look for that 420 supply. If you get above 420 and you hold above it, then I'm going to be looking for that upside continuation potentially, because I know at that point there will be shorts that are trapped into this stock, right? I know they will stop out over 420. I know that's the level they're watching because I'm watching it myself. So I know there's a lot of other people watching 420 as well. So if we start to see strength above 420, that long is actually a little sneaky long, I think. I'm going to be watching that. But that's the level today, guys, 420. If I don't see 420 get touched, I don't think I'm trading NVIDIA, right? I need to see a trade around this area, either long or short at this area. That has proven, right, if you guys just look at the price action, where have the best trades come up on NVIDIA? The best trades have been at 420, right? That's where the traders should be entering. That's where you want to be entering trades on NVIDIA. You don't want to be entering trades on NVIDIA here, some random spot here. Oh, I'm randomly short here. I took a random long here, right? Why are you trading in this no man's land, right? Doesn't make sense. You're just bored. You're bored. You're taking random trades. You're not aligning to anything. You have no strategy. You're just buying calls, buying puts in the middle of nowhere. I'm I would only be a trader of NVIDIA at 420, monitor the reactions there, and see which side is winning at that 420 level. That's the idea. That's what I'm watching today. This 100 SMA is definitely putting in a little bit of a fight, right? You can see around here. A little bit of a fight here around this 412 level. You could say there's some demand there at this 100 SMA. See that green line? So just be careful of that. All right? AMD. So AMD, I've been sort of holding some puts. I have, without any fear. I mean, I've just been holding them with my eyes closed, basically, because AMD is such a weak name. But I think I'm going to have to open my eyes here still, or soon, because AMD is actually one of the first tech stocks that I'm seeing approach its 200 SMA. Right? AMD has been so weak that it is now back to its 200 SMA. So I'm a little bit concerned of shorting AMD as you approach this red line right here. This red line is right at $95.20. It's the 200 SMA on the daily chart, and I think it is going to be an important level for AMD. So you have a little bit of a quadruple bottom here in the short term, right? You can see 1, 2, 3, 4. It's really trying to hold this 95 area and really trying to maintain above this 200 SMA. So I think there's going to be some battle there. I don't think I'd be, trying to aggressively short this still into the 200. Do I think there could be more downside on AMD? Yeah, right? I think there could be. If I go to the daily chart, I think you could probably see downside, possibly into this high here, around that 88, 89. The other level that I was watching was right here, around this 94. So you can see you have 94 double bottoms right there. You have 94 double bottom right here. I'm going to zoom in on this so you guys can see. So if I zoom in here on AMD and I go back to, this is back in February or in March. This is back in May, right? If I put a little green zone here, this is around 93.50, 94, right? And I'm going to continue to move this level over, right? That comes in right around this 93.50, 94 area. So do I think there could be some more downside into that? Yeah. Do I need to chase? Do I need to eke out, sort of a little bit more downside here? I don't think it's really necessary or worth it. The only next short entry for me on AMD, where I would look to short again, is a retest of the previous lows. Let me get you a better chart here. Here you go. The only short entry that I would take on AMD here moving forward is a retest of the previous lows. Right here, right? Retest of this low, right? If you come back into it on some kind of a bounce, right, I would look for that retest move and then short into that strength around that 99.60, 100 area. Other than that, I'll be probably closing out of my AMD shorts today because you're right at that 200, and I would not be trying to squeak out any more downside there, personally. All right? Apple. This is going to be the level that everyone should be watching. This is going to be market real. This is really the market here, in my opinion. Apple is sitting at a flat line, man. And which way does this decide to go? And I think that will 100% influence where the market goes next. That would really be the target down here. Hold on. Let me get the whole picture for you here. So the target would be around that 170, right? At this low as well. But you guys can see right here. If I go to the 30-minute chart, I zoom in here. This is the last, what is this? The last 2 weeks on Apple. Look at all of the attempts of holds at this 173.50. It has attempted to hold this level multiple times, right? And it continues to maintain it. If Apple continues to maintain this level, right? If Apple continues to maintain this level, then we need to be cautious of Apple bouncing and Apple continuing to hold up this market, okay? Now, that doesn't mean you just long Apple here, you close your eyes and you hope that you're going to become a millionaire. That's not what this is, because this could simply supply reject 177.50 again, right? That's what it's been doing, right? It bounces and it rejects 177.50, right? We can see here, rejection, rejection, rejection. Previous lows, right? Rejected again here, and we rejected again on Friday. So, Apple is in a 4-point range, right? That's what it's doing. It's just trading within 4 points, right? But if we break this, that's what you're watching, right? That's what you're watching. If you break this 173.50, then I'm looking for downside, right? If you break above 177.50, then I'm looking for upside. Yeah, you do have the rainbow rejection a little bit up there, right? You got it a little bit. The 20, 50, 100. The 20, 100, 50. 50 is yellow, green's 100, 20 is 20. Sorry. 50, yellow, 100, green, 20 is blue. That's what I'd be watching. You do have some rejections up there. But more important, right? More important, 173.50. Continue to monitor this level. I would always, every day that you walk into the market, I would put an alert at 173.50 on Apple. Because if Apple starts to break this level, if you start to get some flush action on Apple under this level, I think it will affect the market. So I would be making sure you monitor what Apple does at 173.50 moving forward this week. All right? Let's go Google, Meta, Netflix. Google, Meta, Netflix. Google, Meta, Netflix. Google. All right. Google, Meta, and Netflix. So Google's an interesting one here. Sort of. Here's why. I think it stays. I think you can trade back to this channel low if there's market weakness. You can see right here around this 129 area. Channel low on Google. Channel high is right around this 132.50. I actually think you push it up to 133 to be safe, personally. So you can see right here, right, if we zoom in and we look at this channel, you got 133 channel high and you got 129 channel low. So if Google, right, trades to one of these sides, then I think this is a good trade to watch. So keep an eye on this little Google channel. 133 supply highs, 129 demand lows. I would be monitoring this little Google area, right? Yeah, I know I skipped the Dow. You guys really want to see the Dow, huh? All right, we'll go to the Dow later, after. So, you can see right here, Google, you have this little middle of the level, right? Middle of the channel level here on Google. Previous lows. Previous lows, I'd call it. A little bit of a wick, but previous lows. Previous lows. Previous lows. What else is right there? Right? What else is right there on Google today? That is the 50 SMA. Right? The 50 SMA. You guys can see right here. 50 SMA. 50 SMA. 50 SMA. If you get a bounce today into 131, 131.20, and you bounce into the 50 SMA, I would be watching for rejections there today, personally. I would look for potential rejections at this 131.20, 131.50 area on Google today. If you get that rejection play, you could look to trade that to channel lows. That's what I'll be watching. If you get above it, then no trade. You could look for that bounce into 133. All right? But that's the area that I would be watching, right, on Google. Netflix. So I don't really have much for you guys. I'm not gonna get too involved in Netflix because Netflix is a monster of a stock. I just wanted to point out you do have a little bit of an upside catalyst on Netflix today. There is some demand that steps up down here on the daily chart, right around that 375. You can see right there. You sort of traded in this low volume zone, which is beautiful, right? Beautiful. You can see low volume zone. Nice downside through it. The 400 retest rejections, whoever traded that, we talked about that in the live stream. Congratulations, right? The 400 retest rejections were gorgeous. Retest rejections of 400, creating downside. Now, I would be a little bit cautious, continuing to short Netflix into the 375 demand, the 200 SMA, and with that catalyst this morning. So if you are short Netflix, just be careful on that. A little bit of a catalyst, right? This morning, demand is getting close, right, at that 374 and that 200 SMA. I just wanted to point that out. If Netflix can get it back above 400, I would be interested, right, for the upside. If you get a catalyst above, if you get a move above 400, then I'd be interested in upside. But that has to go well above 400. I need to see strength there before getting that idea. I'm going to go Meta, and I'm going to give you the quickest Dow analysis you could ever see. Because I got to get out of here. Meta, really all I'm going to tell you here is watch 300 and watch 306. These are the two upside supply levels that I'm watching on Meta. You have 300 previous lows right here. 300, 300, 300. Watch how that 300 reacts today. And then also watch this 306 supply up here. Supply, all these rejections. And that was the Friday rejection point. So 300, 306. Watch those levels. The Mr. Jones, Dow Jones, Daniel Jones. Wow, what a rejection. I mean, look at that. That was our, I don't touch the Dow, right? Whenever you get the Dow, whenever you see the Dow Jones come in, when you see this on my screen, it means it has not been touched, right? And look at that. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. Yeah, you're sitting right at these demand lows, though. So, here's your Dow analysis. You can see right here. It's very clear. You have major lows, major lows. You're coming right into them right now. 34,150. 34,150 demand. And the trade of the week on the Dow was to trade off the levels that we provided on Friday on the retest rejections of 34,400. Look at that. Right? Previous lows, break, retest, rejection. That's how you trade. Right? Look at this on the Dow. You have not only, this is a previous low, break, retest, rejection, break, retest, rejection. So, what are you looking for next? You're looking for either a break, retest, rejection of 34,150, or the potential hold of that level. Alright? Alright, guys. That's it. That's all I got. It's 8:52. I gotta get out of here. Fabir, you are the best, Vincent. Thank you for the signs on Friday with Tesla and Amazon. Nice job, Fabir. Well done. GG. Thank you for the $20 donation, Fabir. As always, thank you for all the support on the channel. If you guys could, before you head out, if you could press that like button, that would be much appreciated. What do we got? We got 733 likes, and we have 1,857 people. Can we get that up? Let's see this number go up. Did that just go down? Did that number just go down? I think it did. It went 20 down. Who unliked the video? Probably because I didn't look at the Russell, right? Hey, the Russell is maybe the worst thing I could skip, right? Because the Russell is the small caps. And I know the people that want to see the Russell. I know those type of people. That could be the worst one, right? The Russell traders are most likely the most temperamental. So I got to be careful. I got to be careful skipping the Russell moving forward. Because if I don't get over the Russell, then what's GME and AMC and Wish and Peloton and Roblox and DraftKings? What's going to happen with that? How am I going to trade Roblox if I don't know what the Russell's doing? All right, guys. Anyways, thank you so much. I'm just messing around here, having a little bit of fun here on this Monday. Press that like button if you could. Subscribe to the channel. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Yeah. Yeah. Peace.